As we ring this bowl, we affirm that this land that we love, that these beautiful places that we enjoy, that lift us in our lives, are the ancestral lands of the Yavapai people, the Cuevquepayas, the Tolquepayas, the Wipuquepas, and the Yavapai. Today, I want to sing you a song that we wrote that I hope will lift you up into the sky. It is From the Sky. Through the glass of windows in airplanes that cross the sky, their wings spread like geese moving home. They leave their trails and disappear. Have you watched from perches like eagles above the earth, your face turning up to the sun? What did you see? What did you see? From the sky we see the whole earth, rivers winding, cutting canyons, rushing to the sea. From the sky you see the whole earth, desert twilight through the glass. What do you see? From the sky you see the whole earth, rivers winding, cutting canyons, rushing to the sea. From the sky you see the whole earth, desert twilight through the glass. What do you see? Through the glass of windows in airplanes that cross the sky, their wings spread like geese moving home. They leave their trails and disappear.
Good morning. That was a great way to start. Thank you so much. Welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Kelsey Wilkes, and I am your worship associate today. We extend a warm welcome to all as we rejoice in the clouds that blessed us after the last few days of rain. If you are here in person, we are so glad you're here. And those of you on Zoom, hi, glad to see you. Today's sermon is one that I chose when I purchased Naming a Sermon for our annual service auction. I knew immediately when I decided to bid what I wanted. And I ran to Patty immediately after, and I said, clouds. I want clouds. And Patty said, ooh, Mary Lou wrote a song about clouds. It was serendipity, and I am so excited. I can't wait to hear what she says, because this sermon was meant to be. Now, please take a moment to silence your phones and put them on worship mode. And I want to thank our pianist, Lena Hubin, our choir director, Mary Lou Prince, and the Granite Peak Singers, and our fabulous cellist, Sarah Walder Mata. Who went and heard them last night at the concert? It was amazing. I think you guys are exhausted. I see a few of you are missing, but they made over $2,000 for Granite Peak. $2,000 and $20, because mine's still in my purse because I came in late because I went to the drag show first. You know, the things you can do in Prescott back to back. It's pretty awesome. But we also want to thank our volunteers, and particularly Martin in the back. This is the mission statement of our congregation. We are a compassionate spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, and promotes justice for all, and serves the world that we live in. In addition to the announcements that you saw showing on the screen before the service, you can see other things that are happening in the Granite Peak Weekly newsletter, in the online website, in Patty's Friday videos, which you can also read. You can read it, and then you can watch Patty as well. And there are some printed announcements on the welcome table in the foyer where you came in. Sandra Palacios, our faith development leader, has the children across the street for faith development. If you're not sure what she does when you're in line on coffee, turn around and you will see the amazing things that she's done with the children. Right now, I think the eclipse is on display. We also have a nursery, so the littles are also here in the building. Please join us after the service in Davis Hall, where we will have coffee and socializing in small groups, and the folks on Zoom can stay after and get into some breakout groups. If you are joining us for the first time, check us out on prescottuu.org, and there will be a time at the end of the service where you can introduce yourselves if you would like to. We begin our service in the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting our chalice. Our chalice lighter this morning is Zoe. Today we light the chalice with these words, with slight modification by me. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rain gently fall upon your fields. And may the soft clouds of the mysterious universe hold you gently until we meet again.
Thank you, Kelsey, and welcome. I was so happy to see many of you out in the darkness last night of the audience for that performance. And today, as Kelsey said, we are blessed with music again from Sarah and Mary Lou. She and Mary Lou will take us up into the clouds as we end this service so we can all float out together. Yesterday, as I was walking with Louie around our neighborhood, Louie is our dog, just because some of you might not know the name of our dog. But anyway, I was walking with him around our neighborhood and I heard the most amazing bird song. It was so melodious. So I took out my bird identification app, Merlin, which I highly recommend. And I found out it was a lowly house finch. But it seemed fancy enough to be an azure-throated warbler. Today, I invite you to find beauty and meaning in the seemingly ordinary world of the house finch and the clouds. The clouds that can look so ordinary until the sunrise catches them, or the sunset. And Thich Nhat Hanh would say that they are a window to the whole cosmos. Let us rise in body or spirit, and we will sing together, "The Sun at High Noon." It's number 14. Please rise. Wasn't that beautiful? Now, please join me in saying our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. And now I invite you to listen to the sound of this bell and to think of all that is on your hearts and minds, all of the joys and sorrows of this time in the world, of your family, of your friends, of the stranger you saw on the corner holding a sign. Let us breathe together and consider this earth that has supported us through all of our years. that has supported the growth of the trees that shelter us. And let us today especially hold the sky, those huge clouds, and sometimes very wispy ones, and sometimes ones that look like a flying saucer on top of Granite Mountain. Those clouds that are images that accompany us through our lives, through all of our joys and our sorrows. Their changing presence above us. We hold in this community, we hold the greater community, those struggling with food insecurity, those searching for a place to stay tonight. We ask for ways to reach out our hands. We give thanks for our food pantry that is a way of reaching out our hands. We ask for blessings on this land. On the leaders, that they may be wise. We extend also beyond our borders to the many places of war on this earth. We ask for leaders who will listen, who will pause and listen to the trees and watch the clouds and seek for peace and wisdom. This is a time that we gather considering all that is inside our community. It is a time for us to sit quietly and listen to the music, or to come up and add a stone to one of our bowls of water that is a symbol of this community, of holding your joy or your sorrow among us. We especially hold Karen Greenberg, who has been in the hospital, and Diane Harper and Tom Erdman, and Lee Phillips and Ed Rosage and Craig Phillips, and Joyce Dennison, who has a very, very difficult cancer in its last stages and is undergoing treatment in California that is offering some hope. Let us send our healing thoughts to them. And now let us enter into that time. And if there's someone you would especially like me to mention, please come up and let me know. also hold Brian's brother Brad and Bobby, not Bobby Bollinger, I want to make that clear, who is transitioning to the next part of this journey. Our Bobby is simply off and visiting someone today. And I want to mention Joan Brown because it was her big birthday, 95. And I hope she forgives me. But I think all of us need good news too. So thank you, Joan, because you are always good news. Please join me in a spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, we are here showing up on this morning, the birds singing in trees and the clouds moving above us. We give to this place our presence, and we ask for accompaniment through these days, and we ask for peace. Amen, and may it be so. And now please join me in singing Spirit of Life.
As we prepare to take our offering this morning, let us embrace the feeling of connection and community that we have when we gather together each week. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our seeds of support, and this month's program is Step Up for Kids. To give online, you can go to our website, and for those on Zoom, you can click on the link in the chat. Please enjoy the offertory music written by Mary Lou Prince and played by Mary Lou and Sarah Alacite. We acknowledge the generosity of spirit shown through this offering. What is given in love is accepted with gratitude. Blessed be.
That music was beautiful. These words are from Thich Nhat Hanh. If we observe things deeply, we will discover that one thing contains all the other things. Think about that. One thing contains all the other things. If you look deeply into a tree, you will discover that a tree is not only a tree, it is also a person, it is a cloud, it is the sunshine, it is the earth, it is the animals and the minerals. The practice of looking deeply reveals to us that one thing is made up of all other things. One thing contains the whole cosmos. When we hold a piece of bread to eat, if mindfulness is there, we can eat the bread in a way that will allow us to touch the whole cosmos deeply. A piece of bread contains the sunshine. That is not something difficult to see. Without sunshine, the piece of bread cannot be. A piece of bread contains a cloud. Without a cloud, the wheat cannot grow. So when you eat the piece of bread, you eat the cloud. You eat the sunshine. You eat the minerals, time, space, everything. One thing contains everything. With the energy of mindfulness, we can see deeply. I know some of you have a favorite tree. Do you have a favorite tree you go to? I know Peter does. Peter has an ancient cedar tree that's on their land in Costa Rica where he loves to sit and commune. And she even speaks to him when he is here. And during the past years, I've come to know that I depend on trees. They held me through the pandemic. I depend on trees for my feeling of well-being. Years ago, and to make this more exotic, I was on a solo trip through India, riding buses, and ended up in northern India at some of the beginning places of the Ganges, and it was there that I heard a wise person speak. And they told me that when I felt bad or not grounded or angry or sad, to look up at the trees and to see the small movement in the tops of the branches. And here, I can't really see the needles of the ponderosa move like the leaves of trees, but I hear them moving in the tops of the trees, and they sound a little like the waves of the ocean. Seeing and hearing that, catching the scent of the bark and touching the smooth and rough bark are a touchstone for me that help my worries float away. Not always, but usually. Thich Nhat Hanh is asking us to deepen this practice. And as we experience a tree in our garden or in the forest, to look deeply into that tree, to discover that a tree is not only a tree, it is a person, it is a cloud, it is the sunshine, it is the earth, it is the animals and minerals. So I want you to close your eyes and imagine a favorite tree. And let's breathe. And I want you to imagine that tree, that within that tree are clouds, sunshine, animals, minerals. That tree is the earth. It is a cloud. I believe that this perspective, you can open your eyes if you want, but I believe that this perspective is very important to us as Unitarian Universalists because it gives yet another iteration of the interconnected web of life, which we have written up here and we can read thanks to Chris Hawthorne, who darkened the words. We are connected to that because instead of simply connecting with a tree, just connecting that tree with the clouds that bring rain, as they did on Thursday morning, wasn't that amazing? Mindfulness takes us deeper into considering the clouds that exist in the tree. Clouds could represent the moisture that is carried by the sky, the moisture that is critical to our survival, which also helps keep those trees away from fire. They are with us also in the food that we eat, and I wonder, could we begin each meal with a note of praise for clouds? Thank you for the clouds. Imagine your favorite meal now. This is going to be a sermon full of imagination. So now I want you to imagine your favorite meal. I have many favorite meals because Mary Lou is an amazing cook. And sometimes my soups are rather good. But what I would imagine is I would imagine roasted vegetables and perhaps some feta or goat cheese, maybe a little pasta. I'm sure all of you are imagining something. And now I want you, as you think of that meal, to open your mind and try to see the clouds within that food. Can you see them? Before a meal, the Japanese say one word. It's a long word. They put their hands like this and they say, itadakimasu. Itadakimasu is a very simple word that means I humbly receive. And when you press someone about what that means, they believe that it means that they are humble and thankful before the farmers, the sellers, the rain. Nobody mentioned clouds, but I'm sure if they thought of it, they would think of clouds. And when that is said, we bow our heads. I wonder what words you have come to say in your homes. And if you don't say any words, I recommend you to find one, or two, or three, or even a poem. Sometimes thank you is just enough, but sometimes we've heard that word so much, it has lost its meaning. Today, I wonder when you have a meal, if you could say, thank you for the clouds. For without clouds, that food would most certainly not have come into being. On Thursday, when I sat down to begin writing about clouds, I got an email from Briggy Dickinson. She wrote this: I still see animals in the clouds, and I'm sure that you and Lou do too. What do you all see? Maybe as you've grown up, you don't see animals anymore. But what shapes do you see? This morning, I want to try something a little different. We're going to shake it up a little bit. And Kelsey is going to help lead us because this was her topic. So she gets to do this part. Okay. So I would like everyone to rise in body or spirit. Spread out a little from each other. Give the person space around you. Move out into the aisles if you need to. Give yourself space. Okay, now I want you to think of a cloud shape, maybe a cloud that you've seen that you really love. And if you need to close your eyes, you can. Try to make that shape with your body. Okay, we're going to do it. Everybody got their shapes? I'm not looking at you. Everybody got your shapes? Okay, now relax back into a neutral position. Okay, and now let's shake out that cloud. Okay, and now I want you to make another cloud, a different one. Okay, everyone. And I want you this time to breathe into that cloud. Breathe into it. Imagine yourself as that cloud floating out there in the beautiful clear air that is such a gift here. And now you can relax. And now one more time, back into the cloud, different cloud. Okay, now breathe into that cloud. And now relax. And shake it out. Okay. And now you can be seated in body or spirit. I wonder how that was for you. And when we came to this country, we realized the clouds were so different. The clouds of Arizona are magnificent. And living in the desert, we would see those clouds and we would imagine all kinds of shapes. And they became juxtaposed with our growing knowledge of the migrants who were crossing. We were south of Tucson. And so those clouds raised a question in our minds that created this song. Please listen to the choir singing Wind in the Desert.
I want to make sure that you hear these really beautiful lyrics. Do you ride on clouds through the desert? Can I hear you in the wind? When birds fly halfway across the earth, are they resting in your arms? When a storm gathers lightning, lashing the sky with its fire, do your hands fill with sparrows fallen from the tops of trees?
I wonder what you see in the clouds. Can you imagine being in the clouds? Up in the sky, looking down at all that there is, or over at other clouds, or maybe up. I love to float in water. As a child, I loved to swim. I loved underwater swimming. I was one of those children who would disappear underwater. I was always trying to do 2 widths underwater. But now I find myself, when I get into a pool, all I want to do is float. In oceans and pools. And I love to look up and see the clouds. And I imagine that that might be the feeling of floating on a cloud, the way that it feels to float in water, lying back, looking up at the universe. I wonder if from the clouds we could see stars. I wonder what happens to the clouds at night. I wonder what these clouds could teach us. Clouds, for me, in the past weeks, have come to symbolize change. For weeks, I have been contemplating my life and whether I could continue as your minister for more years. And each time I dove into that contemplation, I first found a very big yes. And then that yes, like the clouds, transformed because I kept running up against a wall with a large word written on it: mortality. I actually, when I first wrote this, I had death, and Mary Lou said, "Don't do that." Getting in touch with my mortality put me on a roller coaster, and it's quite strange that this, in some ways, has been, except when I went through cancer treatment, but I think this has been the bumpiest roller coaster ride of my life. Because here I am, I'm healthy, and yet no matter how healthy I am right now in this moment, there will come a time when I will be on my way out. We have a friend who has an app called We Croak. And 5 times a day, this app reminds her in some words or pictures of her mortality. This may sound really morbid. It is a little morbid. But actually, this has inspired our friend to make the most out of her life in this moment. And now, for the first time, when I feel very healthy and happy, I've had to come to terms with my inevitable croaking. Some of you have had that realization far ahead of me. And I imagine that there are many of you who have not had this realization at all. But it will come sometime, because just like the clouds, whatever our state is in the current moment, that state will change. A lion will become a dirigible or a flower. Pema Chodron said, "Impermanence is a principle of harmony. When we don't struggle against it, we are in harmony with reality." If we don't struggle against impermanence, we are in harmony with reality. And that is a hard-won harmony. Like in music, like the music we heard last night, when all of those notes that seemingly might clash improbably lift us to another place, higher or deeper. So I wonder, could that miracle of mist, of clouds that float above our lives, embody that principle of harmony in impermanence? Impermanence is really just a fancy word for change. Often as a pastor, as a friend, as a sister, as a lover, I have been by the sides of loved ones in the midst of unwelcome change. Like when our dear friend had a massive stroke and we rushed to her side. This was no gentle brush with impermanence. This was a slap in the face with change. After navigating the emergency room and telling them, lying to them, that we were her daughters, I sat by Marge's side and I said to her, I bet you'd like to say a bad word. Together we said the first word after her stroke. It came out slowly at first and then with vehemence. Shit! And when I talked with someone who just read that I was leaving after this year, together we said a bad word. And in the ranking of bad words, it was worse than shit. And it felt good to say that word. Clouds embody the reality of change. It's impossible for us to catch that lion that has emerged from a mountain. We can't keep it from becoming a rabbit. And as Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, clouds are in everything. Change is a part of everything in our lives. When we don't struggle against it, then we are in harmony with reality. And we still get to say shit. Would all of you like to say that with me? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Shit! We don't have to like change. I wish with all my heart that I could stay with you for a lot more years, but I can't. That lion keeps shifting into a giant flying saucer, which I actually saw over Granite Mountain, but I knew it was a cloud. I haven't become a nut. Anyway, and that cloud was rising higher into the sky. In the last few days, I have said a number of times, there is too much change right now. Isn't that right, Mary Lou? Haven't I said that? And I am trying to preach what I practice. I'm trying to practice. No. I'm trying to practice what I preach to you in this moment. I am trying really hard to relax into that change. And it's really, really hard. I've been trying to take time with all of you who want to, and I am not stupid. I know some of you don't want to. And I am trying to enjoy that flying saucer on Granite Mountain, relish it until that sunset casts pink into its center. And then it lifts and it becomes a train ever moving upward. I'm grateful to Kelsey for this topic, which caused me to put my attention towards clouds at this time when so much is changing in my life. As I relish the changing clouds, I'm trying to learn to embrace or allow, at least not struggle against change. For the struggle and resistance to change are painful. The Buddhists would tell you that is one of the things that causes suffering. And it's a waste of energy. Yet there it is. We want things to be different. And it is easier to reject than to accept. How do we do that? These are some things I'm trying out that you might want to try out. Mindfulness would bid us accept the whole lot of what's happening, including that bad word screamed at the top of our lungs. As we think of change that we don't like, I thought of our cat Angel, who was an incredible hunter, and we needed her because we had rodents inside our house, and she took them out. We called her Angel, the assassin. But she also could catch birds. We wanted to be able to show her pictures. Rat, good. Bird, bad. If only we could do that to the universe. This kind of change, good. This kind of change, no. Impermanence also brushes us up against that serenity prayer of knowing what we need to put energy into changing and what we need to accept. When our friend Marge had that stroke, together Mary Lou and I fought tooth and nail to help her get her strength back, because she was in her 80s and the doctors just assumed she wouldn't. And we sat with her and fought. We kept her from getting a feeding tube. We had another year and a half, which was incredible. And all around us in this room are people going through that same kind of grappling with impermanence. I've watched you beautifully navigate the changes of a difficult diagnosis, the death of a child, sudden low vision, hearing loss, a miscarriage. And first, I want you to know what gives me strength in my search for harmony are the examples around me. You give me strength. So when you are fighting against change and you need to find harmony, look around you. Look at the many who've gone before. Ask them, how did you do it? How do you feel calm about that? Maybe you could say shit together. We need each other most of all in this search for harmony. I also think that sometimes taking a few minutes to shake our bodies about is helpful. Because when we're resisting change, when I'm resisting change, I hold it here in my shoulders, right here, gritting my teeth. Sometimes we can physically embody our resistance to change. Would you humor me in shaking it up right now? Let's rise and just shake it up a little bit. Okay. Okay, that's enough. Thank you. Oh. Another thing I think is really important is to find something that makes you laugh. Sometimes I make faces at myself in the mirror or anything that lightens me up. And there is mindfulness. There is breathing in and out. There's noticing your breath. That breath that is another ordinary miracle. You can breathe in peace, breathe out calm, or you can shift those words to naughty ones if you like. Do what it takes to relieve that suffering, for it is suffering. I believe, too, if we take our breath into the natural world that is always changing, we can breathe into this land of the housefinch and the spotted towhee, the leaves turning slightly golden and getting ready to fall from the oak trees, the bird carrying nesting material to who knows where, eggs to be hatched, baby birds that will learn to fly and sing, the ravens that gurgle to each other high in the ponderosa branch, the heron that flies upward and disappears. Is that heron riding on a cloud? Please join me in loving the beauty of this moment, of right now, before it shifts into something else. Amen, and may it be so. And now let us rise in body or spirit, and we will sing All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. All creatures of the earth and sky, come kindred, lift your voices high. Alleluia, alleluia. Bright burning sun with golden beam, soft shining moon with silver gleam. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Swift rushing winds so wild and strong, white clouds that sail in heaven along. Alleluia, alleluia. The rising morn in praise rejoice. My stars of evening find a voice. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Flowing water, pure and clean, make music for all life to hear. Alleluia, alleluia. Dance, flame of fire so strong and bright, and bless us with your warmth and light. Alleluia, 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 In Mary Lou's childhood, her grandmother Ruby, who was born to first-generation Danish immigrants, was not well-traveled. Like many immigrants, she loved this country. And when it was time for sleep, she sat on the side of Mary Lou's bed and asked her to imagine the sky and all the clouds. "Can you see one you'd like to jump to?" she asked. "Okay, let's jump." And together they would jump into the sky, right into that cloud, and travel to Paris or Zanzibar or the mountains outside of Marrakesh. Let us listen to Cloud Ride. wonder where you went. Thank you, thank you. So now is the time to introduce yourselves, if you would like, those of you who are here after a long time or new. And I also at this time want to make sure that you know that next week is our annual meeting, very important event, would we say? Gathering for our congregation, and we hope that as many people as possible come. So if there isn't anyone to, so I hope when you're eating your snacks, beautifully prepared, and our wonderful hospitality team with Chris Hawthorne, and I know Marianne Erickson left to get things going, that you talk with each other about change and maybe how you have navigated change in your lives. So thank you all, and I'm trying to make it back to the back. Oh, wait, and we extinguish our chalice. Thank you. I can't see that. Let us, before we do that, we will extinguish our chalice. No, Zoe, you're right. Okay, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you. And now everything I said before is true.